The Bell, Remastered, Lost Prayer, Skyward Atlas, Conqueror's Verity, Memory of Dust, Xlice, Dodoko Tales, Solar Pearl, Blackcliff, Agate, and Eye of Perception. These are the 10 catalysts showcased in this video, compared in a solo and team buff oriented practical setup to see which ones work reasonably well for the Wanderer. YouTube frogs, welcome to a full weapon comparisons video covering the most practical catalyst choices for our newest 5-star Anemo Hypercarry, Wanderer, or Scaramouche. Let's begin. We have 5 5-star catalysts and 5 4-star catalysts that have reasonable efficacy for Wanderer's playstyle. There are a mixture of crit-oriented weapons and attack-oriented weapons that will perform differently in different situations. So, our Wanderer will be put into 3 common situations. First, Solo Wanderer DPS, testing weapon DPS output with just the Wanderer himself with no assistance. 2. Wanderer and Constellation Zero Faruzan, including what will be the most optimal and common support for Wanderer in most situations. Faruzan is limited to Constellation Zero to provide the most minimal support efficacy that most players will be able to access. 3. Wanderer plus Bennett. No Faruzan, including what will likely be the most common form of attack buff for Wanderer that double dips both into Bennett's burst transfer and activates the Pyro boost from Wanderer's Ascension 1 passive, granting 30% more attack. For the weapon specifically, some will scale better assuming a specific setup. For example, Memory of Dust would improve if Wanderer is shielded, so it's practical to include a synergistic unit like Layla, like you would in a legitimate team comp. Dodoko Tales will switch from N3 spam to N2 charge spam to make use of its passive. Setups will be tailored to the specific weapon because that's what you would do in the game. For each situation, you'll be seeing total damage from a swapped in full elemental skill cycle plus elemental burst at the end. Or, you activate your E, and then you N3 or N2C spam, and you have an average of 3 Ascension 4 dashes, and then you activate Elemental Burst. Swapped in is to reference a refresh on most weapon passives, so they will likely start from 0. For example, Lost Prayer or Memory of Dust. And though I will be using crit rate food for visual clarity on crit damage, the comparison numbers calculated will be normalized to reflect his actual crit rate in each build. Throughout these showcases, my Wanderer will be level 80, running a 2-piece Anemo attack combo with level 6 talents. Let's begin with the weakest of all these choices. 4-star Blackcliff Agate at R180 at 0 stacks. This is expectedly the weakest. This weapon at 0 stacks is essentially the most minimal type of crit damage, base attack, stat stick you can find. Combined with Faruzan or Bennett, the Bennett does shoot up, but not enough to put it past any other weapon. In an AoE setting, with trash mobs to stack the passive, Blackcliff is able to be competitive with the other 4-stars, but due to this being dependent on enemy layout, I'm not a personal fan. 4-star, Solar Pearl, R180. In a solo setting, Solar Pearl is the second weakest choice. While its passive is directly useful, it only lasts 6 seconds, which is 60% of its effective flying time. Fortunately, both Faruzan and Bennett add a lot more value to Solar Pearl, as their buff consistency scales better with Solar Pearl's higher general build crit rate. Bennett provides the most value to Solar Pearl, supplanting a bunch more attack that the weapon provides none of, allowing the weapon to inch up a couple ranks. With this being the case, Solar Pearl is a solid default choice for Battle Pass users. 5-star, Conqueror's Verity at R180. Now this 5-star may surprise you on its relative strength compared to the other weapons, but at the end of the day, it's just a crit damage stat stick with no useful passive, very similar to Blackcliff, but stronger base attack. Because of that naturally higher base attack combined with a higher total crit damage, it does scale better with Faruzan or Bennett. Faruzan alone allows Conqueror to shoot up a couple ranks. And with Bennett, Conqueror is very close to Solar Pearl and its passive. As a standalone 5-star catalyst, it does the job. 4-star Eye of Perception, R580. Very rarely do we actually have this weapon be relatively useful. As a solo weapon, the Eye sneaks out above Pearl and Kagura's. This is due to its natural attack percent secondary stat, providing a build balance and arbitrary damage passive. Once you start adding in Faruzan and Bennett though, Eye heavily falls off and is only mediocrely better than Blackcliff at 0 stacks. With supremely low base attack and no additional innate crit, Eye does not scale with supports as well compared to other choices. As with Blackcliff, these are if you have nothing else to use. 4-star Xlice, R580. This 4-star weapon. So this ranking is for average Xlice, accounting for its 10 seconds active, 30 seconds inactive time, and equal chance for any of its 3 buffs to occur. Without any of its buffs, Xlice is the lowest of all weapons below Blackcliff and Eye of Perception. With either of its attack or elemental buffs active, which are notes 1 and 2, Xlice becomes an absolute menace for 10 seconds, exceeding all other options as the top 2 choices. On average though, this is where Xlice stands. With Faruzan, Xlice on average doesn't change much, and it remains as strong as it is solo. With Bennett, Xlice on average becomes one of the top contenders even amongst 5-stars, mostly due to its crazy synergy with Xlice on the elemental buff, but in general due to its good distribution of general stats. For the most part, Witsith has and remains one of the strongest 4-star choices due to its capability to appear as a 5-star every so often, a standard choice for most of you out there. 4-star Dodoko Tails at R590. Are you surprised to see Xlice event weapon this high up? With the alternate playstyle of N2 charge spam instead of N3, this weapon provides a strong enough buff through the charge attacks to make Dodoko impressively stable of a DPS weapon. And don't worry, the DPS ranking you see is calculated at level 80. Mine is level 90, and the damage you're seeing on screen is level 90, but I scaled the damage down by 6.5% to what is expected from its level 80 version. And yes, the N2 charge spam is technically stronger than N3 spam, but that's what you would do if you ran Dodoko's Tails because you're not going to forego the 32% charge attack boost. Because Dodoko's provides 55 to 70% attack with its passive, he loses some ground with Bennett compared to other weapons. All those sources of attack become pretty diminished overall, where other weapons' crit stats start to scale better. With Faruzan, Dodoko's pulls impressively ahead, being comparable and even slightly stronger than common 5-star weapons. Make sure you learn N2 charge though, as with N3 spam, Dodoko's is much weaker. 5-star Memory of Dust at R180. So now we're in 5-star territory. No matter what you decide to choose from here, every weapon will be solid for Wanderer, so don't worry. Memory of Dust is the attack percent of attack percent statistics that we have. It does have two versions though, an unshielded version using only 50% of its passive, and a shielded version. With no shield, Memory of Dust alone does pretty well, just like Eye of Perception, same concept. However, with Faruzan and Bennett, it's not enough even as a 5-star to be a strong choice over some of the common 4-star choices. With Bennett, Memory of Dust on no shield drops to one of the weakest choices, primarily because it does nothing but provide attack percent. Even Eye of Perception with Bennett has its arbitrary passive damage, which allows it to squeak by. With the shield though, Memory of Dust gains a 7% damage bonus from the additional 20% attack, allowing it to be competitive once again with the rest of the common weapon choices. Highly recommend using Layla as the shielder here, as her shield length is just about right for Wanderer's flying time, and also allows for a cryo buff for his Ascension 1 passive for more crit rate. 5-star Scoured Atlas at R180. From here, it's stable territory. No massive fluctuations due to team setups, these weapons are solid for Wanderer no matter the situation. Skyward Atlas is the no ramp choice. He is as strong as he will be the minute you swap him on field, with solid base attack, attack percent, a little elemental damage bonus, and an arbitrary passive that within rotation actually adds to 5 to 10% DPS output. With either Faruzan or Bennett, Skyward scales very well, and with Bennett, Skyward's physical damage passive gains a nice boost contributing to more single target DPS. 5-star Lost Prayer at R180, second best general use weapon, besides the Witsith taking up the top 2 slots. Lost Prayer is one of 2 ramp weapons that work well with this kit. Even if Lost Prayer's passive is not fully used, on average you'll still get 50% of its full value at any given point. This 50% efficiency still allows it to sit strong amongst most of the other choices. With Faruzan, Lost Prayer loses a little ground, since the Anemo damage bonus is slightly diminishing with Lost Prayer's elemental. With Bennett, Lost Prayer is substantially stronger, as the extra attack percent balances the elemental bonus from weapon and crit stacking from artifacts. And lastly, the 5-star Bell Remastered. Signature weapon that is by far the best choice. Wow, what a surprise. With this, Wanderer's N3 spams become so much more powerful, and actually incentivize less dashing from his A4 in order to spam more autos. I find that only using the free dash to dodge enemy attacks most efficient in DPS. In a solo setting, Bell is only barely better than Lost Prayer and the other 5-star by just a couple percentage points. With Faruzan, Bell is 5% stronger than Scoured Atlas, the closest contender. And with Bennett, Bell is 10% stronger than Lost Prayer, the closest contender. It makes sense that Bennett is his signature's best synergy, as there's no attack percent on this weapon, just crit damage and normal attack damage boost. Taking a look at them all, it's interesting to see the shifts on how Constellation Zero Faruzan and Bennett change the corresponding weapon strengths. Faruzan makes attack percent weapons and crit weapons more favorable, with noticeable jumps for Solar Pearl, Kagura's, Dodoko's, and Skyward Atlas. Bennett makes attack percent weapons generally fall behind, and crit damage, elemental damage a lot more favorable. Solar Pearl and Kagura's are the crit weapons with the largest gains from Bennett, with Prayer and the Bell keeping a massive lead with their elemental or normal attack damage bonuses with Bennett's attack buff. Most of the 5-stars maintain their strong placing from Scoured and up, with Memory of Dust on no shield falling behind drastically. Dodoko's Tails was the most surprising Dark Horse candidate 4-star choice, but made sense with the N2 charge spam. And of course, it's always lovely seeing the extreme variance from Witsith, from absolute rock bottom with no buffs, to blasting through even his signature when the note is right. And that should be 10 of the most relevant catalysts compared in their natural environments. Hope this video helped you choose your Wanderer's weapon. Thanks for watching, Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, we'll see you next time. Take care.